Good morning.
Hey
How are
man,
you? How are you?
how are you? You right?
Yeah, I'm really good, really good. Thank you so much for being able to do this.
No, it's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, cool, good.
Um, it's been a long day, but that's all right. You must have just got up.
Yeah, just up. It is, well, it'd normally be up about this time anyway. I'm just not normally talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. I understand.
Yeah, 6 a.m. here. What about yourself? How's your day been?
I started off talking to the RPM team this morning.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, how'd that go
Yeah,
yesterday?
I had Bryony and Lee.
Oh, yeah, good.
So that was at 7 a.m. this morning, and so yeah. So just like we did with the pump one the other day, same sort of thing with
Mhm.
RPM.
Yeah, that's cool. Was there, I don't know if you'll see, was there many on it, like many attendees?
It was about 100.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Consist, cons, consistently 100.
Yeah, absolutely. I did send you through some questions and topics.
Yep, I had a quick look. Yep.
Yeah, but very, very much, mate, just a framework for us. Feel free to go off on tangents. What I love, especially when I'm speaking to, people like such as yourself with such great experience, see when you have stories and you can name drop, I think that works really well because it just gives people, something that they can really connect with. So I'm just putting the stuff into the chat box here. That's as much for me as it is for you, just so we'll have something to work with.
You okay with the way it's set up? Is the background okay, or do you want me to?
No, it's absolutely fine because what I'll do, mate, is I'll rip the audio
Yep.
and put obviously the audio goes onto a podcast, and I'll only take about 2 or 3 minutes of the video just to post on like Instagram and Facebook, just to give
Oh,
people
okay.
a
So that's
little bit
all.
of a taste. Yeah, and if we say anything stupid or incriminating, I can edit that out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not
Cool.
not
No
that
worries, mate.
well.
No worries at all.
Awesome. So just give us a wee sec
Yep.
to get my screens in the right place here.
Whereabouts are you? What part of the UK are you in?
So I'm from Belfast, which is Northern Ireland.
Yep.
So I actually live in the same part of the world as Jenny, Corey Bird's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I live and stay in Scotland.
Yeah. So you're in Scotland now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So right, we'll hit the start button
Go then, go. Yeah,
and we'll
sweet.
get going. Welcoming to the podcast today is Program Director for Body Pump, RPM Sprints, and Les Mills International Director, Glen Ostergaard. How are
Hey
you, mate?
guys. Hello.
Mate, so happy to have you on. I understand it's been a really, really long day for you. It's 5 o'clock in New Zealand. It is not 5 o'clock p.m. in Scotland in the UK. So yeah, how are you? How's your day been?
Yeah, I was busy today. I started off with obviously I got up early, so I normally train first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I trained this morning, and then I chatted to the RPM team, Bryony and Lee, and that was cool. And then I've been at the office most of the day because we've been trialing new programs at work and in the office, and filming's next week, so we're sort of rolling into that filming cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been meeting with the pump team, getting ready to film 115, I suppose. Can't even remember, mate. That's next week. So, yeah, it's a busy day. It's the start of filming week. It's always busy. That's when yeah.
Do you know,
That's when yeah.
I put out in social media, just let people know I was talking to you today, and I said some questions, and there were so many questions come in about filming. And what's interesting with the sentence you've just said is, I think I'm doing 115, not even sure, and that's exactly what instructors say, because you could be doing a remix, and then all of a sudden you've got to learn the latest release or the next release while teaching something else.
I've
But
got 3 on the go.
yeah, I was about to say that you've got your 3 programs.
I know three pump releases. I've got to do 115 next week, and we chose the music today for 116, and I got Les Mills live streams of 1 the United release. So I've got 3 pump releases that I'm sort of, I can't even remember which is which. So after that, yeah.
For the audio listeners out there, the face that Glen just made trying to work out which releases he was talking about, it was that proper mathematics face which every man fears. I always, again, thank you so much for coming on to this. I always start off these with, I just ask, like, who is Glen? So how would you describe yourself?
I suppose, you know, I mean, at heart, I'm just a country boy. I was brought up on a farm in the south. Because New Zealand's 2 islands, right? The North Island and the South Island. The South Island's probably very much like Scotland. You know, it's sort of mountains and fjords and lakes and rivers and not many people. And so I was brought up in a small town in the northern part of the South Island. And so I was on a farm. So yeah, I just came from a farming background, and I did university and all those things, and just you know, just decided to become an instructor and to go into the fitness industry, because I'd seen my dad doing training and exercising, you know, when I was a kid, and I sort of got drawn into the fitness industry. And yeah, so I'm this regular person, you know, nothing special really, no special backgrounds, just sort of fell into it like a lot of us, you know, we fall into this industry, and I was fortunate enough to be at the right place at the right time to you know, to try for this position I have now. And yeah, and the rest is history really. But yeah, just I'm just, you know, from humble beginnings, and from a mum and dad that worked, you know, hard on a farm for 40 years, and you know, it's just, that's me, you know, that's what I'd say I am, you know.
You said there, you know, that the rest is history, and you said on a webinar last week, which, you know, I thought was brilliant, that you have been working for Les Mills and teaching classes for 30 years.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
28 years this year.
Wow. And what pops up on social media about once a year is the video of you doing body attack. You're probably tagged in it every single year. And that surprises a lot of people, because people just associate you with now, probably with pump, RPM, sprint. So yeah, well, you know, talk about your history, you know, with Les Mills. Did you start a body attack instructor?
Well, I mean, I was always interested.
Oh, who's that? Hello.
Say hello to Ricky.
Hello, how are you?
This is my youngest. This is Ella.
Hey, Ella. Oh.
She's the boss.
Scared of my accent.
Later. She's the boss of the family.
They always are.
She's the third child, you know. So yeah, I've always been interested in fitness, right? And I joined the gym when I was because I went to university in Christchurch, which is the main city in the South Island, and that's quite away from where I was brought up. So, and then I joined a bodybuilding gym there for a while, and I was doing bodybuilding training, and then I decided to go and join Les Mills. So I thought, yeah, it was the gym to be at. So I joined Les Mills. No, you leave it alone, babe. No. You can't do that.
Ella's trying to take the laptop. She wants Daddy's attention.
Yeah, you're going to scare Ricky. Yeah, you scare us. Hey, babe, can I do this? And I'll come and see you in a second, okay? No, she's going for the empty Coke cans. This is my go-to.
Yeah, I'm a Coke Zero person myself.
Yeah. I like it. She's getting an empty can of mine and drinking it. It's not good for you. Yeah. Oh, she's giving me the thumbs up now.
Oh, that's good. That's all she wanted.
All right, babe. Go and see Mum, please. There's nothing in that one. Go and see Mum. Off you go. Crazy. Do you have children?
No, we don't. So Lindsay has a child who is 18. So, you know, like Lindsay's completed parenthood.
18, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lindsay's ticked that box. I don't have to. I don't have to have the responsibility. So that's good.
Okay, here you go. He's on it. It's all gone. I'm just going to sort this out.
That's all right. No, take your time, mate.
Please. Come on. You can't see Mum. Yeah, it's out here. It's out here. I got it out here. There you go. It's a little trick for you, mate. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll screenshot that.
You start screaming in a second.
Nah,
Go and see Mum.
She's super cute.
I need to talk to Ricky. Sarah. You come grab now, please. We're recording. Get out of here. Come on. Oh, sorry, mate.
Ah, don't worry. She's super cute, by the way. How old is she?
Yeah, she is. She's a bit of a handful, to be honest. She's like I said, she's the boss.
Oh, always is. Well, I heard you talking to Sarah there as well. How's she been?
No, she's good. Yeah. Like with all the lockdowns and the kids and yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's been hard work with 3 small children and especially in lockdown.
I'm sure.
Trying to entertain them and we've got 2 at school though, which is kind of cool. So
happy days.
Yeah. Challenging, but that's all part of life,
That's it.
Kids.
That's it. You were saying there just before Ella came in to observe about how you started in Les Mills and Body Attack may have been your first program.
Yeah. So I suppose I could tell you the story. I mean, I joined Les Mills and I decided I wanted to be an instructor. Just because I always thought I could be an instructor. I didn't have any gauge on what being an instructor meant. I just saw them on stage and I thought, oh, I can do that. So I did I signed up for a Les Mills course. Back then there was no module training. It was just in-house training, in-house course. So I did an in-house training course to become an instructor at the club in Christchurch there. And then I did that. It was like 6 to 8 weeks, and I came out of the back of that, and I was like, all right, cool, here we go. I'm going to be an instructor now. And I remember, I don't know if you know Maureen Baker. Maureen,
oh yes, we all know Maureen Baker in the UK. Yeah. So Maureen was
her and her husband owned the club in Christchurch where I was a member, and then I became an instructor. And so her and her husband owned the club, and I was like pretty confident that I'd become an instructor. And then I remember doing an audition for her it was Body Attack. So we learned with Body Attack, you see. And she basically told me that I was rubbish and that
sounds like boring.
Yeah, I was rubbish. There was no way on earth, and she said it in a way that's a nice way of putting what she said to me. And she said I was rubbish and I'd never ever become an instructor, not in her gym anyway. And I was like, oh shit, well, I was dumbfounded because I expected to be like, oh, I'll do the course and become an instructor and da da da. But I suppose what that did is it clicked something in my head for me to push a little harder and to try a little harder. Sometimes when things are given to you too easily, you take it for granted and you don't really appreciate the opportunity. So I worked really hard, I trained really hard, and I was really determined. And eventually, after about I started teaching some other programs for her because she needed some instructors. But after about 10 months, after I'd finished the training, I finally got myself a Body Attack class. Mm-hmm. And then I started from there, and I worked my way up, and I set my goals to be the top instructor in the club. Mm-hmm. And I sort of, eventually I took that box off, and I got the prime time classes and built some numbers and big numbers and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was, back when Body Attack we learned on Body Attack 4. That was Body Attack 4. So that's a long, I don't even know what Lisa's up to now. So it was
Must.
right? So that was Body
Yeah.
Attack. And I remember the very first track I had to learn, and it took me days and days to learn just one track, right? The choreography and the music. And it was Mr. Vane. It was a Body Attack. Robbie Mr. Vane, and he had to do like V steps with these punching arms and things. So that was Body Attack 4. And then I just started from there. I spent 5 years in, 5 years in Christchurch. And then I decided that I wanted to expand my horizons, and I left Christchurch and I moved to Auckland, which was a big move for me back then. And then I started, because when I left Christchurch, I was one of the top instructors in the club. And then when I came to Auckland, I went from top instructor in Christchurch to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
was back then it was Mike McSweeney and Donna McCourt and Ruth Tainer and Ruth Pirahi and Steve Renata and all that group were, they were the kingpins of Les Mills, and that's what Les Mills International was eventually based on, right?
Yeah.
Those the kings of the industry, the founders of LMI and Pump and all those programs. So I came in as a virtual nobody, and I was like, I said, what have I done? But I sort of left, because I was a personal trainer, and I left all my clients behind and all my classes and all the the safety that I'd built up. But I went to Auckland with the notion to do what I'm doing now. And I had no idea how it was going to happen, but I just had this goal to go to Auckland to become a top instructor at the club with all those guys, and then somehow to get a choreography job, and then that's how it is. I mean, I did my time, and eventually I got the opportunity to audition for the RPM role, which was the first role that I had, and then Jackie and Philip gave me that role, and then a few years later, Mike had decided to leave the position as program director for Pump, which was a huge hole, because he was just, he's still an icon of mine. I mean, if there's anyone in the industry that I looked up to, and that was Mike McSweeney, for who he was and what he created and what his ethos was. Mike was the man. And so, this little boy from Motueka coming to Auckland and trying to take his job, or trying to, audition for his job. So, long story short, Jackie and Philip decided that, that I was the person to take the baton on from Mike after he left and take Pump. And so I was already working on RPM, but the big job was Pump, right? Because it was the big program. And, there were other people who were in the mix, and I sort of had to produce a class, and they had a class, and it was all quite convoluted in how it all sort of worked out. But so I got that job, and then that was,
there's
years ago.
There's loads in there I want to ask questions on. I know we've got questions from instructors later on, which will tap into a lot of that. The question I'm going to ask you next is the same question I asked you at the end of the webinar. It's what's the question you're asked most when you do things like this, or you're, traveling with Les Mills, back in those days when we could travel. What is the one question you're asked the most?
Obviously, like currently where the program is and where the programs are and evolving. But a lot of time I get asked what I've just explained to you about how I started off.
Yeah.
I started off just like any other instructor that starts off. But I just knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. And quite often people will come up to me, so how can I get a class, or how can I do this? And a lot of the time, it's, you just got to decide what it is you want to do and do what it takes to get it, and then not be put off by anyone, and that's the secret to success in any sort of industry, really. Yeah. You set your goal, you write it down, you look at it every day, and you do the things that's required to get good at whatever it is you're trying to do, and to achieve that goal. And that's what I did for teaching, for getting position like I have now, and I'm very fortunate, that's for sure. And I never ever take it for granted, but you just got to set your goal high and just go for it, basically.
Yeah. Just back on that point about, like where the program is going. So I'm reasonably experienced in body pump. I've been doing body pump since body pump 75. So not as long as some, and certainly longer than others. And I've obviously seen the program go. You know, I always describe it. The podcast listeners will know this. Like from like 70 to 80 for me was 70 to 80. It was all about slow reps, and we lifted really heavy. Then 80 to 90, you went through a real plyometric phase, where it was just all jumping lunges and squats. Then 90, you found a lot of pulses. And then from 100 on, you find even more pulses and shorter transitions. So that's kind of how I've seen and what I've observed. And then I know this question's come in. I know you get asked this a lot. Like, what is coming next for you?
Like I said, when we spoke on Saturday, I mean, I suppose the fitness industry moves through trends, and I'm really aware of I try to be aware of what's going on in the industry, and then whatever's cool that comes in, I'll add into the program. You know, in terms of resistance training wise, and whatever sort of feels right and it suits the program. I think now what I'm sort of interested in is more sort of functional training or body weight training, and I add little bits of that sort of integrated sort of movement patterns into pump, just to make things a little more intense, you know. I mean, just to sort of, you know, to give pump more of a training feel. I think that's where we've sort of moved over the last few years. Not only have we changed the music to fit the, you know, the way that music has moved and what people want to hear and listen to, but to give pump a more of a training type feel. I mean, do you understand what I mean by a training feel?
Yeah, I do. But if you want to flesh that out a little bit for listeners, that's fine.
Not like grit. I mean, grit's, you know, that grit's grit, but to give it that more sort of, you know, we're here to train today, but without losing any of the musicality or the stuff that actually makes the program what it is. So it's just that, trying to find that balance between those two things.
Yeah. I know from observing you for a long time, and you know, you stay consistent, and you say this, that, you know, the music comes first. Like what is the music influence? How does it come about? You know, so you said at the start of this, you've just selected the music for 116. So talk us through the selection process for a typical release.
So the way the music's really important for my two, mainly for RPM and pump. Not as important for sprint, because the way we put the workout together. But for pump, I mean, so at the moment, what I do is I'm always looking for new music. So I'm always listening on my phone. I have, you know, Spotify playlists for Africa. So if I'm ever training in the gym, I always have Spotify playing, and with new music that comes out every week. I'm always looking on iTunes and buying the latest stuff, and I know what to buy because I've been doing it for so long. So every week I'll collect, you know, 10 or 20 new songs that I've found online, from Spotify or from iTunes, and then it gets bolstered by other people that, you know, there's a whole lot of DJs that work with us, and they send me a whole lot of tracks as well. So every month I'll get a big Spotify list from those guys, and so I'll sort of just collect a big bundle of sounds and songs. I don't listen to it right then and there, and then when it comes time to sit down with my song, so I've collected for about 2 to 3 months. I have 300 or 400 songs to sort of think about. And then I'll sit down in the space of about a week. I'll just sort of go through stuff and put it into playlists. This is pump, this is RPM, this is sprint, you know. And then I'll have, like, you know, 100 songs in each of those playlists. And then I'll dive down a bit deeper into the playlist, and then I'll start thinking, well, this is a warm up, this is a squat, this could be a chest, this could be a back. And then I'll sort of put sort of 20 or 30 songs. So it goes from 500, and then I'll put, you know, 50 or 60 to 100 in each of the different classes. And then I'll dial down into each list and come up with, say, 20 or 30 songs that could potentially be a pump list. And then I'll listen to them over here, and I'll get a good feel of how they're going to sound and what they could be, what I could do to them. And then I'll sit on it for a bit, and then I'll do the same with RPM, and I'll find sort of 10 songs that can work. And then I sit in with Diana and Jackie Mills, and we go through the songs, and I get their input. Okay, what do you think about this one? This is what I did this morning. And so what do you think about this warm up? And she'll go, yes, no, and then we'll find a warm up and then a squat, and then we'll put the playlist together for the 10 songs for Pump, and then that's it. And then we put it out to the music department, and they try and license it for us. So yeah, it's the process that I've sort of used, and it seems to work. But what's different now to how it was before is that I used to choose all the music, find it all, and that was my, But now I found that it's actually better to have a team of people throwing me all these different sounds, and then I can really get a broad base of sounds that we can use in especially Pump. And yeah, and then it's just that sort of process of just condensing it down to the 10 songs that would be on the A list, and then as long as Jackie and Diana like it, so Jackie knows what to listen for, and Diana has that sort of young ear, which is what we want to have in the program as well. And we just boom, 10 songs, and then away we go. So that's the longest part, to be honest, is getting the songs from 500 down to the 10 songs. And that takes quite a while, and a lot of listening and a lot of feeling the music. And then the choreography process and the trialing process is really quite quick. The involvement is finding the music and then just getting it done.
So see when you're in the choreography stage, do you get to a point where like you're obviously writing stuff down, you're trying stuff on your own in your home gym or in front of the mirror or whatever, and then you go and teach it for the first time, like in front of a live class? And do they know this is you trialing new stuff?
Some of them do. I don't make a big deal about it. I don't go, oh, here I come, I've got the new release. You guys know it. That's not my style. I just sort of turn up and I'll teach it, and then and see how it feels and how it sounds and how the workout feels, and that takes a few classes of just to sort of polish it up and get it to a point where I can show Diana and Jackie. You see, so. But that's the fun bit, though. You see, get 10 songs and the choreo's fast. That doesn't take long. Boom, boom, boom. Some ideas and do it. Off you go. And then you trial it for a few weeks, and then you get the guys in to have a listen, and you make some changes, and then boom, you have a class. So that could take sort of 4 to 6 weeks after songs have been chosen.
You touched on this at the start, and does that concept change for sprint? Does the workout almost come first in sprint, and then you find music to complement it?
Yeah, it's different because RPM and Pump is all based on feel.
Yeah.
When the song goes, especially RPM, that's probably even more so than Pump. You got to get the flow right between the tracks and how it feels. But for sprint, it's a bit more. You got to think a bit more about it. I'll find a way that works, and I'll do a couple of releases like that. Then I'll think, well, we can't do that again, so I'll find another way of doing it. And I've still got sort of boundaries that I have to work within in terms of what we can do on a bike. But so the creativity comes with sort of finding the music that suits whatever it is we want to do, and then putting it together in a creative way, while still adhering to the high intensity HIIT training, which is what it's meant to be. So it's less about feel, even though some of the songs still have a good feel to it. It's less about the feel of the music as opposed to what it is that we're trying to achieve in each track and each block and stuff.
I have to ask: is there ever a move, like in body pump, where perhaps RPM, sprint, even perhaps grit, because I know you have influence there? Is there ever like an exercise, a move that you want to put in, which, like, in my head, I'm thinking Bryce always says no. So I remember when, I want to say it was about body pump 76, 77, when the power press first came out, and it was like, that was so brand new at the time. So I'm just wondering, is there anything else that you're thinking, I want to get in, and it's a no for now?
Yeah, I can't think of, like, that always happens. I can't think of any particular move that I've used recently. There must be heaps. But Bryce always comes in from the safety point of view, and he always grounds it back down to who it is that we're teaching to, what it is that we're trying to. Because sometimes I'll go, I'm into this. Let's go take pump over here. I'm into CrossFit. Let's go do all these. And then it's just sort of taking bits out of those ideas and then putting it into a way that is still body pump. And that's sometimes my challenge is I want to do this, but that moves, it's too hard or too complicated, or the range is too big, or but sometimes we might start with an idea and then he'll pull us back a little bit, then we end up with another idea. So we still get the essence of whatever it is I was trying to create, but we give it a group fitness feel or a pump feel, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, kind of, you touched on CrossFit there, what you're into, you know, what training do you do yourself? I know recently, again, from watching your social, you've been into endurance, you've been doing a lot of like running, long distance running and that sort of thing. Yeah. So, you know, tell us about your own training.
I sort of I've done lots of things. I was thinking about it the other day, how many different ways of training I've done over the last 30 years, and I've done everything, you know, everything that's come out, I've sort of got involved with. So I don't do CrossFit anymore. I mean, I was really into Olympic lifting, and I was into powerlifting there for a while. I was doing all the, that was really interesting. I don't know if you know much about powerlifting, but I followed the Westside barbell protocols.
Okay.
You know, there's Louis Simmons and all those big powerlifters, and they hold all the world records for bench and deadlift and squat. And so I really got into that, and I did a course on the Westside methods, and you know, I got stuck into box squatting and with bands and chains, and I got super strong. That's for sure. Like, so it was really amazing that his system, the conjugate system that he uses, is really powerful.
Yes.
Yeah, Louis Simmons, man, he's the man. So if anyone wants to get into powerlifting, just go Louis Simmons conjugate system, and then if you want to get strong, just follow what he does, and then you know, 6 months, and you just be like deadlifting huge amounts and squatting and benching, because he has a real system around building strength. And then I went out of that into CrossFit, because CrossFit was cool, because CrossFit for me was a way of using my fitness passion to compete. I mean, I was always a sportsman when I was a kid, and but you know, as you get older and when you're focused on the fitness industry, you never have a chance to really compete in anything. But CrossFit allowed me to compete in fitness whilst I was doing fitness. You see, so I did CrossFit for quite a few years, and I did like the Open, you know, I qualified for the Opens and did all those open events and stuff. That was cool. I really loved doing that. It was really enjoyable. But see, all along, I was learning. So I learned from the conjugate system about benching and deadlifting and squatting, and then that's where, say, the wide squat came from, you know, or the floor press and pump comes from. You know, I learned all that stuff from there. And then when I was into CrossFit, I learned all about Olympic lifting and cleans and snatches and then the functional movements with plates and bars. And then I dropped some of that into pump. So all along, I've been learning from all these different ways of training. So now I'm into. I mean, I started running. I stopped running years ago because I thought that I had a bit of a dicky knee and I couldn't run anymore. Then I just decided to go for a run one day, and then I was like, oh, I can run, you know. Off I went, so I started running again, you know. So, and I really enjoy that. But the thing I'm into now, as well as a bit of running, is body weight training, primal movements, primal patterns, you know, functional training, just with body weight. And there's a few things that we're doing. So we're creating. And we said this at Global Summit, we're creating a new program called Les Mills Primal. And it's at the early stages, and we'll see how it's going to go. And it's all, you know, bear crawls and gorillas and, you know, all that sort of primal patterns, and then just all the movements that, you know, that you do on the floor and in the gym and stuff. So that's kind of fun. So I'm really into that. And then calisthenics. So I'm looking at calisthenics as just something for me to play around with. And that's huge right now. So I think bodyweight training is a big trend, huge in the fitness industry. I'm not sure what you guys, if you read much about it. So that's all that primal movements, animal flow, zoo training. And then on the other side, I'll say a bit more gymnastic-y type movements, like the calisthenics type movements and street workouts and stuff. So those two things are really huge. And I'm sort of into that at the moment. And that's cool. It's fun.
Totally agree with you on the last point about, you know, calisthenics and bodyweight training. being really, you know, trendy in the fitness industry. Obviously, some of that's to do generally with people are having to train at home. So they've been forced to do that. But I think the second part of it, I think my observations in the fitness industry over the last year, 2 years, that health is as much part of it as aesthetics and, you know, functional gain. And stuff like primal movement and calisthenics really keeps people healthy, from, you know, joint health to just generally getting their body moving better. And like, it would be really, really, my listeners would absolutely cane me if I did not ask more on Les Mills Primal, because you just kind of drop that in as if we all know about it, and there'll be loads of people who'll be like, Les Mills Primal, tell us more about that. So, you know, what can you tell that won't get you in trouble?
Well, it's really in the infancy, basically. I mean, I'm not even sure how it's actually going to progress. So what we do sometimes is, at the club, for the Auckland club and the New Zealand clubs, we create a summer series of workouts. So just special workouts that the club can do, you know, off time slots, and they can just trial stuff in the club just to create variety. And that was Les Mills Junior's idea. We had a big talk about it last year, and three things that came out of it was a strength-based workout. So not pump, but more, you know, like training in the gym, strength-based. A steady state type cardio workouts, not interval training, not HIIT training, but more steady state, which is another thing that's happening in the fitness industry. And then primal, you know. So those are the sort of three sort of trends that have sort of come up from what we've been talking about. And out of those three, we'll create some trial programs, and we'll go to the club, and then they'll try it at the club, and then they may or may not become a program later on down the track. Like, that's where bar came from. Bar was one of the summer series workouts.
All right.
There was a couple other ones, I can't remember what they were, but bar, that's where bar sort of originated from. And it may happen. We had a trial today with some people at work, at the office, and there'll be a lot of, you know, because there will be a lot of toing and froing, and, you know, chewing the fat over, you know, how it's going to look and feel and sound like. But, you know, hopefully, I mean, I really enjoy it. I think it's really fun. And what I like about bodyweight training is that it's less stress on the joints, and especially as I'm getting older. And I can't keep hammering the squat rack every day, you know. So I like the fact that, like you just said, you can do it at home, you can do it with no equipment, and you can get a great workout, and you can still develop good relative strength using those particular movements, and then increase your functionality and mobility, etc. But I can't answer that question because I don't know myself how it's going to go. You know, a year from now, we might be sitting here and talking about, wow, that primal program is good, or gee, what happened to that primal program, you know?
As you said, there's probably loads of programs like that, which you did for, you know, experimented with, and have never made it out of the lab. We'll move on to a really, really controversial subject. Again, you dropped this in last week, nutrition. You know, what's your nutrition strategy? And I say controversial because, you know, you did mention that you practice vegan, and, you know, everybody always has an opinion on vegan, so it's always controversial. So what's your general nutrition strategy?
Like training, I like to try different things. You know, I do CrossFit, and then I went the conjugate system, you know, and then I'll do this and do that. And I suppose it's the same with diet. And there's no one right way to train, and there's no one right just from what I've figured out, there's not one right way to train for something, or not one right way to eat. You know, when I first started in this industry, I was a bodybuilder. So I used to eat like a bodybuilder, you know, no carbs at night, you know, no carbs after 12 o'clock, you know, and then you'd be like, you'd sort of feel, you know, you wake up in the morning, you'd be so hungry. But, you know, and that worked too, because you restricted your carbohydrate intake. You did heavy weight training for muscle mass and high protein intake. So that worked. And then I've tried the keto diet, the Polican meat and nut. I did that for quite a while. So we just had meat and nuts in the morning. And so that's another way of reducing the carbohydrates in the front part of the day. And that works too. You know, that works for me. And
Jesus, that's an old one. I haven't heard that in conversation in a long time. I haven't heard that one. Yeah.
I mean, that guy was a genius. Charles Poliquin.
100%.
He's amazing, mate.
Mm-hmm.
His training protocols, and what I liked about Charles Poliquin is that he put weight training in a structured format that you could follow. I don't know if you've done stuff, but he was awesome,
Him, Charles Poliquin books and Arthur Jones books were my first few. That's probably my, other than talking to people at the gym when I was about 14, 15, they were my first official mentors, reading the Poliquin book and the Arthur Jones, who created the Nautilus machines, and Casey Viator, who was one of the first men to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger. So yeah, Charles Poliquin stuff. I mean, it's still, I say it's current. Some of it might be controversial now, especially with some of the stuff he did in later life. But Charles Poliquin stuff, love reading that.
I mean, he passed away a few years ago, but I mean, he was awesome, and because Corey was into it, Corey Beard, and he gave me he's got two main training manuals that I studied religiously for a couple of years. And like I said before, what I liked about what he did is that he just put resistance training, and he just gave you this is what it is. This is how you need to do it. These are either you're training strength, relative strength, absolute strength, hypertrophy, endurance, and he gave you the rep ranges, the weight, how much weight that you need to use on those rep ranges, and the rest time between the sets. And you just put it in a nice general way that you could just go, because weight training for someone who's new, it's quite, you don't know what to do, but he put it in a real systematic way, and that to me is amazing. So Charles Poliquin, the meat nut diet, so we did that for quite a while, and then I tried the vegan diet, and like I said to you last week, it was great, and I felt really good on it, and maybe I just got my protein intakes wrong, because I found that I dropped a lot of strength, which is what I need for pumps. I can't afford to not be like that. And then we hit lockdown, and then it just got too hard to sustain. So now I've sort of gone back to eating how I used to eat normally. So I've tried, I tried that. I tried meat nut. I've tried the bodybuilding way of eating. And so now we experiment a little bit with intermittent fasting. So just trying fasting, on a few days, 16 hours without eating, 8-hour window, do that a couple of times a week, and just experiment. And I suppose the advice is that, I'm not saying that any one way is right or any one way is wrong, is that you sort of look at diet as, for me, it's about improving my performance, my energy levels. It's never really, apart when I was bodybuilding, it's never really an aesthetic thing for me. And you just experiment and you find out. Hello?
Elle's back. Hello. Someone's happy. Someone's got food. What have you got?
Yeah. Speaking of carbohydrates, we've got some garlic bread here.
Yeah.
But you sort of find out what suits your body and what works for you, and then you just do that, I think, and you experiment. And sometimes certain cultures have ways of eating, and then if you brought up, like I was brought up on a farm, so we always had lots of dairy, lots of meat, lots of vegetables, and that's all I've eaten all my life, and that's what my body's used to. So and that's what I eat now, and it works for me.
What I've got here, Ella's saying it's time to go, Daddy. So what I've got is I've got listeners' questions here. I've loved chatting about training. I think you and I could talk about training and Poliquin and all that stuff for a long time. So we'll fly through some questions here that have come in. I'm trying not to go back on ones that we've already put together. So this one comes in from Kate. What does your training schedule look like outside of choreograph and pump and RPM? So I guess that means, like, how often do you train? That is training, not body pump, not RPM, not sprint.
Yeah. I really prioritize my training. It's really important to me. I have 3 classes a week. I have one pump class, one RPM class, one sprint class, and that's my job. It's not my training. I just use it to test stuff. So I have those sort of middle of the day, most, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'll train around that. So, you right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Someone getting, you got hiccups?
Yeah, so Yeah, I'll do resistance or running or cardio or whatever I'm into, basically.
Yeah, it's just so cute,
But
mate.
I try to do strength training at least twice a week
Hmm.
outside of pump and stuff, just to maintain strength and muscle. And then I'll just fit everything else around that. Could be riding. Depends if I'm injured or not. Do
I
riding or running or bodyweight
I
training.
assume those strength sessions will be total body
Yeah,
sessions. Yeah.
yeah. I tend to not split it up anymore because
Hmm.
it's not my priority now. So,
Yeah.
I might squat once or twice a week and then I'll deadlift or clean or snatch or
Hmm.
just use those big movements as the main part of the workouts and
Hmm.
then just work backwards, like whatever happens after that happens after that. So I try to train. I like training, I always have, and that's sort of, yeah.
Next one
I
comes
always
in
have one
from
day off.
next one from Miriam. Suppose there's two questions in this. Do you ever hit a creativity block when you're creating choreography, and what do you do to get through that?
Um, no, I haven't really yet.
Oh,
You
that's good.
talk about writer's block and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I find that sometimes I think, oh, what am I going to do? I'll sit down and it just comes. I don't know where it comes from. And I mean, I keep things really simple with the choreography anyway. So
Yeah.
I never try to do anything that's too complicated because it's not how it should work anyway.
Yeah.
So no, I find it easy, and I haven't really hit a block yet. And if I do, then I've got other people I can draw upon to help me out. So.
Lee, by his own admission here, Lee James has a really, really long question. And just to kind of summarize it is, how has the exercise industry changed throughout the years from you, and kind of what do you see next?
Yeah, I think I've already answered that. I think,
Yeah.
10 years ago, it was hit training. That was the viral thing, wasn't it? Hit training, and then we created grit off the back of the hit wave. I think the next things will be bodyweight training, primal movement training, and steady state training. I reckon those are the three things. So bodyweight, primal, and sort of steady state.
Yeah, I'm very, very not curious about the steady state training. I'm interested to see how that looks as a training concept, as a group, because steady state is traditionally what people associate steady state, walking on the treadmill or sitting on the bike, and it's just getting in that steady state. I always describe to people, when you're in steady state, we could still have a conversation like this. Once you can't have a conversation like that, you're just starting to work into your training zones. So that's a really interesting one too. Not that steady state's new, like it's always been there. So it's interesting that we're playing with that now.
Yeah, and like everything sort of cycles,
Yeah.
But definitely bodyweight and primal movements, I think. Bodyweight.
Love it. Yeah. There's a few more questions that have come in, and guys, I apologize for not being able to get through them all. We've kind of covered them at the start. Lots of stuff about how you choreograph stuff, where you get music from. There's a couple of specific ones on like literally where do you get your music from, and the fact that you've said Spotify. Like a lot of people be like, oh, I thought it would be some like real complex software package. No, it's Spotify.
iTunes, Spotify,
Yeah.
And then I get the DJs that work for us now. I mean, I don't know where they get their music from. I'm like, wow, I've never heard that song before. So that's really helped a lot, to be honest.
They probably get it from TikTok, if I'm honest. I've got some standard. I have some standard stock questions I ask everyone when they're on the podcast. So the first one is, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Yeah, I'd say just like what I've said to you guys at the beginning, is that set a goal and figure out what it takes to get to that goal, and then don't give up, no matter what anyone says to you about anything. Whatever you're trying to achieve, you just ignore what people say to you, and you just follow your dream, follow your heart, do what feels right, and then eventually you'll succeed if that's what it is you're after. And I'd say the same thing to that boy back then, because he's the same person as he is now. Just those three things,
And if I can flip that question, if your 20-year-old self got into a time machine, walked through that door right now, what would he be most proud of the today you for?
I wouldn't change anything about how it's all turned out. And yeah, I mean, he would know that, you know, that what I set out to do, I did it. You know, anyone can do it. You know, I'm no different. I'm no more special than anyone else. It's just that you just decide what it is, and then hopefully you're in the right place at the right time, and you don't give up no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's very inspiring for people to listen to hear that, you know, and I've heard you say this again before. It's that you set out, you wanted a choreographer's job. You know, that was your goal from the 20-year-old you, and you know, you work towards it. And I think that's very important. You know, whether someone's sitting listening to this and think, you know, I want to take over from Glen, you can set your goal high, and you work out how along the way. You learn and work out how.
Yeah, but if you know why, the how and the what comes first. You know, and you got to have a strong why. And it reminds me of a good book that you guys should read, and it's called, I can't remember what it's called, Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. Absolutely.
Love the Simon Sinek series.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, find your why, start with why, then there's leaders eat last, and then the last one he did.
There's a few.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Which is kind of the next one. Is what books would you read recently? And who would you recommend it to?
I got a whole library of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that one of the most important things you can do is fitness professional, or even just someone who's out to achieve something, is you should read every day. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes every day of a book that inspires you or makes you think about things in a different way. And I've been doing that for years and years now. So you know, I won't bore you with all the books I've read, but there's heaps of them, you know, and you create that reading habit. Like here's one here. It's called, if you can see that, The Power of Habit.
Who's that by? Yes.
By Charles G.
Yeah, that's on my shelf behind us there. Yeah. The reason I didn't recognize it is because your book seems to be yellow and mine is white.
That's a really good one. You think by this guy here, Malcolm Gladwell. He's awesome. So he wrote Blink. He wrote Outliers. This is Outliers, and his stuff's really interesting. Like it's not self-development, but it's just he just describes the world in a way. Yeah. What's that, babe? What do you got? Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell. There's heaps. I mean, I could talk for hours on books. I think that's really important. Tony Robbins, good old Tony Robbins. You can get through Awaken the Giant Within, then that's pretty. That's a good effort. That's a thick book, and it's written about 30 years ago, so it's written in an old style of writing. So if you can get through that book, then you're bound to achieve something.
I'll be honest, I have the audiobook of that, and I've attempted to listen to it twice. I do think that's one of those ones. It's better as a book rather than an audiobook.
Hard going.
Yeah, you can take notes. Yeah,
but he's pretty awesome, and he was a groundbreaker in his day with you know, that type of self-development. You know. So I read all those sorts of things, heaps and heaps.
It's cool. So anyone listening here that wants to learn more about strength training, what you spoke about earlier, the congregate theory, that is
conjugate. So Louis Simmons,
such a good read.
Conjugate, and that's powerlifting. So it's, you know, their ranges are different. You know, it's not like full squats and stuff, but his methods with bands and boxes and chains, you just get super strongest than you. It's the strongest I ever was in my whole life by following the system. So
a lot, unbeknown, a lot of my clients do a lot of those methods because a lot of my clients would do a lot of group fitness classes. So powerlifting and absolute strength training complements that quite well. And it keeps things like, they're not going to 10 out of 10 on their lifting scale. They're going to like 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 10. So you can keep things safe, but still get the same type of benefits. The last one I've got, last two rather, is what are you obsessed with right now? For me, Lindsay and I are obsessed with Lucifer on Netflix. Don't know if you've watched it. Yeah, it's so good. Like, we are totally, like, really, really unhealthily obsessed with it. So I'm wondering, do you have any weird unhealthy obsessions?
I started watching a Netflix show the other night. It's called Cobra Kai.
Yes,
seen that?
it's Karate Kid. It's linked to the Karate
Yeah,
Kid.
yeah. It's basically a spin-off of the Karate Kid. When
Uh-huh.
I was a kid, the Karate Kid was like awesome, you know,
Uh-huh.
Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi, and so I just found this random show, and it's those same actors who played Daniel-san, and the other bad kid that he did, you know, did his crane kick. 35 years later. So,
Still,
I mean, it's not the best acting and the best storyline, but it's kind of fun because it always shoots back to the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi and all that and that stuff. So I won't say I was obsessed by it, but I'm enjoying it. It's just it's a real nice switch off.
100%. My house is starting to wake up here. The dog's up, yeah. Lindsay's up. I've heard Emily as well. So listen, tell us. We'll round things off. You know, what's next for you today? Is it dinner time?
Yeah, I'll go upstairs now and have dinner with the kids and do the bath and the bed and the books and put them. You know, they'll be going to bed in about an hour to an hour and a half from now. So yeah, and that'll finish the day. You know, the family, looking after the family and doing that. So yeah.
Nice.
It's a big day.
Yeah, long day for you. I really appreciate you hanging on in your office for the last hour and spending it with us. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing so much, mate. I really appreciate it. My
pleasure. I mean, it's fun. I like doing these things to share ideas. I mean, I have a really curious mind, and I always like to share ideas and things that I've discovered along the way, and books that I've read and methods of training and stuff. That's my passion, and also to show that anyone can you can achieve whatever you want to achieve as long as you have a strong enough why. So it's my pleasure, and I hope it comes out okay at the other end when you edit it all up.
I will, mate. Thank you. I'll cut it about here. And edit it all up, but so consider it finished now. Cool. Mate, thank you so much for that. I think that was really good. But yeah, is there anything you want taken out, added in? You happy with everything? I think so. I mean, there's nothing that's too controversial. Maybe talking about primal, but I mean that's just. I mean, it may or may not work anyway as a program. It's hard to know. It's too early. As a group fitness program, it might not be suitable. I think people know now, because of social media, that you guys do trial things in New Zealand, and sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't. So I don't think, and you did kind of say that you didn't make any promises, so that's fine. No, well, so I don't know. I mean, it's so early. I can't even say. Yeah. We had our first trial today, and that was it. So. Yeah, that's class. That sounds really interesting. It sounds like something me and where I am in my life that I would not only benefit from, but I would probably enjoy. Yeah, it's fun. It's like playing. You're sort of playing with your body, with other people, So I mean, that's it's got it's got lots of other benefits, of course, but absolutely, it's just fun. Sometimes you need to do things that are fun. Yeah, totally. Well, listen. Speaking of fun, go and thank you again. Go and get your dinner. I will edit this up over the weekend, and it'll go out on Monday of next week, probably your Tuesday. And I'll tag you everywhere on social. And I'll take over from here. Your job is done. Thank you. It's 30 years in an hour for you. Yeah, who'd have thought? Thanks, Ricky. Brilliant, mate. Thank you so much again. Welcome, mate. My pleasure. You have a good day. Yeah, so well, Glenn. You too. Have a good evening. Cheers now.